Hello everybody and welcome to another video. It has been over 10 years since the 370Z was first released and unveiled at the LA Auto Show back in 2008. And with a production history of more than 10 years and the fact that Nissan has recently been going through a bunch of financial troubles recently, it has left many of us wondering if the next generation Z was going to make an appearance. And it also doesn't help that the 370Z sales figures have been less than admirable. In that 10-year production history, Nissan has only sold 150,000 370Zs. By comparison, the 350Z managed to sell the exact same number of models in the course of only 6 years. This indicates a seriously weakening market for the Z car, so one could be forgiven if they were to think that Nissan is giving up on a 50-year tradition. There has been a plethora of speculation on what the next Z could entail in terms of stylistic direction, what powertrain it's going to end up using, as well as a potential partnership with Mercedes-Benz. Autoblogs have been releasing a ton of artist renditions on what they think the car may end up looking like. There has been a ton of speculation that the new Z would borrow the 3-liter twin-turbo engine from the Q50, but unfortunately all of this has really just been speculation, and there's been no substantial evidence that we are going to see the next generation of Z coming into play until now. Earlier this morning, Nissan released a video titled Nissan Next A to Z, which makes a very clear statement that the Z car has not been forgotten. It teases at what the next generation of Z may look like, albeit with the car very much cast in shadow the entire time, and it's difficult to make out some of the details, but it makes a clear statement that the Z is still part of Nissan's lineup. If you haven't watched the video already, I highly recommend going and checking it out. It's the first piece of serious, substantial evidence that we've been able to get that the Z car is finally making a return in the form of the Z35 with the next generation of Z. So let me start off by talking about the facts. At this point, there really are none. Unfortunately, in the video, Nissan didn't give a whole lot of information about the car. We didn't really get any hints as to what the powertrain is going to be, what the expected production year is. We don't even know what the car is called yet at this point. With the appearance of the car, we really only got a silhouette of the vehicle and a highlight from the headlights. But for the most part, the car is still pretty much shrouded in mystery, which leads me to believe that the design engineers are still working towards the finalized form that the Z is expected to take. From what we've been shown in the video, the new Z appears to be following the same formula that they have for over 50 years with the Z car. It's expected to be a front-engine vehicle, short wheelbase, 2-seater, hatchback configuration. Stylistically, it looks a lot like the old 240Zs, I think. The flat bumper on the back is very reminiscent of the older car. The way that the roofline flows to the rear, as well as the rear fenders, and even to some extent the headlights, I think, harken back to the older models. The new headlights that they have is a very interesting design, I think. It's got like a 2-part DRL configuration, it looks like. Unfortunately, we don't really get a whole lot of details from the headlight. We don't get a good look at it. But I do think that this new headlight style has a very sleek look to it, and I'm very curious to see what they do with the taillights. I suspect it'll probably be some sort of cross between the 240Z taillights and some of the more modern vehicles in Nissan's lineup as well. The accent piece that they have near the top of the roof, I think is a really nice touch. This is an element that they tried putting on the Nissan Maxima, but I didn't think it looked particularly great on that car. But on the Z, I think it really accents the shape of the roof very well, so I think it's a really nice touch. The front-end design of this vehicle also looks fairly interesting, but is also shrouded in mystery right now. Unfortunately, can't get a whole lot of details from the video. From certain perspectives, it almost looks like it comes to a point similar to what you would see on a C7 or a C8 Corvette. However, looking at that profile shot that you get at the very beginning of the video, it looks a little more like the front end is a bit rounded, more so resembling like a Jaguar F-Type or like a Tesla Model 3. So it'll be interesting to see what the front end ends up looking like. There doesn't seem to be any indication that the Vmotion Grille is going to make an appearance on the Z. This is a stylistic element that they've begun implementing on Nissan's cars since the 2014 Rogue was released. I've never really been a big fan of this type of grille, however, and if they don't end up implementing on the Z, I think I would actually be happy about that. But again, we really don't have a lot of details right now on what the car's appearance is. I do suspect that the design engineers are still going through and finalizing what this car is going to look like, but it is nice to see that it's finally taking form. In terms of the power plant for this car, again, we currently have no details on what we should expect to see. There's a lot of heavy speculation that it's going to take the VR30 motor from the Q50. this would make a whole lot of sense and would match the pattern that Nissan has been taking in the past. For instance, with the 350Z, it got its VQ35 motor from the G35, which was released a year prior. For the 370Z, we got the VQ37 motor from the G37, which is also released a year or two before the Z. The only problem is the VR30 motor was debuted in the Q50 in 2015, which was 5 years ago. Between now and then, Nissan may have had time to develop a different power plant for what they want to put in their sports car. So we don't really know at this point if Nissan is absolutely going to be using the VR30 or not. But given their financial situation right now and their statements online about trying to maintain profitability over the next coming years, I think it makes the most sense that they implement that VR30 motor. It just kind of matches the history that we've seen with a lot of what Nissan has done. It would be interesting to see if they also offered like a different engine option, which is something that we haven't seen with the recent Zs. For instance, they could potentially pull the 2.5 liter engine from the Ultima and maybe implement that in the Z as a kind of entry-level trim, which might make it more competitive with like the Toyota 86, for example. But I think I'm most interested in trying to figure out what they're going to do in terms of transmission options. The Nissan Z has always had a manual transmission option, and with the VR30 motor, there really hasn't been a manual transmission, at least that Nissan has offered on their cars. So if they do end up implementing the VR30, the future of manual transmissions in the Z is kind of up in the air, so we really won't know what's going to happen with that. It would be sad to see the Z ever introduced without having a manual transmission, because that does take away a little bit of the fun from these mid-level sports cars. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what Nissan ends up saying when we finally get some more details on the car. Now, I want to reiterate, there are pretty much no details right now. For the most part, this has all just been speculation. The only thing we really know is that it appears that the Z is finally coming back. There are some interesting details, however, that I've been able to find on Nissan's statement for future growth, sustainability, and profitability, which I do find kind of interesting and I want to share with you. You can check out their sustainable growth statement in the link down below. And in there, they say that their priorities are now shifting. They want to try and prioritize some of their core markets, which includes China, the United States, and Japan. And part of their core markets is the sports car. The fact that they say that the sports car is part of that list of core requirements, to me says that the Z, without a doubt, 100% is going to be returning in the coming future. But the more interesting point on their list of priorities is the fact that they want to release 12 new models worldwide within the next 18 months. This means that there is a chance that we may see the next Z car for the 2022 model year. And that is it for this video, guys. I cannot express the level of excitement right now that I have to finally see that the Z car is getting the makeover that it deserves. With the 370Z being 10 years old now, it's gotten a little bit outdated, and it's finally time to see a new car show up on the lineup. Historically, Nissan usually unveils the Z car either at the LA Auto Show or the Tokyo Auto Show. I'm hoping to get some more details on that. Maybe we might see something this year in October. Whenever I do find out, though, I'm probably going to end up flying out there because I cannot wait to see this car and check it out in person. And before I forget, update on the Supercharger. So the fuel injectors are in. I'm still waiting on the fuel pump right now. The intake piping just came out of powder coat. Aaron posted a photo of this on the 370Z photo. They are done up in white. They look super amazing. I'm excited for it. Apart from that, there's just one additional detail that he's trying to work out right now before he sends it to me. So it's going to be probably in the next week or two. We'll probably end up seeing the rest of the Supercharger kit come in, and then I'll be doing an unbox video and doing the complete DIY on the install. So if you're not a subscriber, you can hit the subscribe button down below and you can watch that entire DIY process. It's a super exciting build that I've been waiting to do for years, and I'm finally fortunate enough to have the opportunity to do it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit that like button down below. I'll see you all in the next video. Later.